This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Welcome, everyone. And we know when a person loves something, someone, he goes beyond limits of a situation. For example, an example of this we'll see now through this Parashat. When a person loves something so much, he's able to think ideas of how to make it work. You figure it out. How do we see this? We know the daughters of Tzelofchad, it speaks about the daughters of Tzelofchad, that the praise is that they loved Eretz Yisrael. How do we know that they loved Eretz Yisrael? How do we know that they love Israel? There's a praise. Why? It says they came to Moshe, and they tell Moshe, their father died, and now what's going to be? What's going to be with the land of Israel? They want their father's Yerusha, the father's inheritance. And now there's no boys. Really, the boys should get the Yerusha, al-pi Torah, but now there's no boys. The girls want it. So this is what it says. They came, they wanted to know Ben Chefet, Ben Gilad, Ben Machir, Ben Menashe, Ben Menashe, Ben Yosef, Ve'leshmot benotav. He had 5 daughters, Machla, Noach, Haglam, Melkat, Tirza. That's the 5 daughters. V'ta'amon l'zvnei Moshe v'l'zvnei Elazar. They came in front of Moshe and Elazar, v'zvnei Nisiim, v'chol eda. They wanted to know, Avinu met, Bamidbar. Their father died. Ve'hu lo haya b'torah dad. What's going to be? And now what's going to happen? And now who's going to get the inheritance from here? You see, where do you see that they love Eretz Yisrael? Especially if you look, I want to say over, amazing Chazal, what they bring over. That is to say, Amru Chazal, Shanashim lo chat'u bechet meraglim. Ladies did not sin in the sin of the spies. Lachen lo metu b'midbar. Therefore, they did not die in the midbar because they never sinned. They didn't sin in the pride. Right? Why? Because Shanashim hayu mechabeban et haaretz. First of all, you have to understand, what does it mean that they love the haaretz? What's going on over here? And the answer is very simple. Like even Moshe Rabbeinu, we see Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael so badly. He prayed so many times, and even Bezrat Hashem bring down that what Chazal teach us that he told Hashem, even if I could come as a bird into Eretz Yisrael, what do you want in Eretz Yisrael so badly? What do you want to do in Eretz Yisrael? Everybody knows that really they wanted to do mitzvot. A person, a Jew, has to understand what's his purpose in life, just to cling to Hashem. How do you cling to Hashem? In every way, what possible form? One of the ways is to do the mitzvot. So therefore he says, there's no land like the land of Eretz Yisrael, because what? There's mitzvot over there that in no other land can happen. That's why they wanted to go in. That's why they wanted the land of Israel. Besides that, that's the Patan Shel Melech. That's where the king resides. The Shekhinah is the highest spot, is Bet Kodashim in that spot. So, where do you see that they loved Eretz Yisrael? To understand that, there was a ta'ana that Rashi explains. What was the claim? They came to Moshe. They said, Moshe, we want it. We want the haaretz. What's the claim? Where's the claim? She says, look what they say. They say, look, if you claim that ladies don't get inheritance, when there's no boys, ladies don't get inheritance. If you claim that, then guess what? Our mother should have to do yibum. Why? Listen to the depth. Because at the end of the day, if you have a man gets married, and what? And he dies without any he dies without any children. What's the halakha? The halakha says that he has to go ahead and he has to marry. What? She has to marry. If he died without children, she has to marry her brother. Says now they say to Moshe, look, you're saying, if you say we don't get Yerusha, only the sons get Yerusha, it's as if they don't exist. If they don't exist, so if they're not existent, so let my mother do yibum. Let my mother go marry Tzelofchad's brother. Let it happen like that. Must be, if they don't have the yibum, must be we're entitled to the inheritance. And they won the claim and they got it. From here you see that they loved Eretz Yisrael. Where do you see that they loved Eretz Yisrael from that? Where? So, 3 pointers. One answer is this. In life, you have to understand, there's a statement, Chazal teaches, what does that mean? It means that something that you love so much, you'll be able to figure it out. For example, there was a house on my block, and it was a great area, awesome area, and the guy had it for sale. And if you look at my blog, it's a very interesting thing because he had it for sale a year, 2 years, nobody was buying it. And nobody understood why. It's a perfect location. Now finally somebody said, you know why? Because there's missing this, there's missing that. One of the things they were missing is missing parking. And I find out after a year, one of my best friends bought it. And I went over to him, I said, look, the claim is that there's no problem. What are you going to do now? How are you going to find it? He says, don't worry. It's a great area. I love the area. There's a lot of shuls and batim midashot around the area. I love this area so much. This is where I want to be. 6 months later, he tells me, come. I come to his house. He shows me. How do you make the parking? He cut a little bit of the front of the house, just some inches up front, put a porch, made like a small carport inside, and he's able to park. Every single night he has a parking. I said, wow, how come nobody thought of that? He says to me, look, at the end of the day, nobody wanted it as much as I did. I wanted it so badly that I figured it out. When a person wants something so much, they figure it out. The Benot Tzelofchad, how did they come up with a claim like that? It's such a beautiful claim, beautiful ta'ana. Well, if you say that my father didn't have any boys, and now we can't get his Yerusha, we can't get his inheritance, then what? Guess what? I have news for you. Let my mother do Yibum. How'd they figure that out? It was a great claim. Must be. The way they figured it out is they loved Eisel, they're able to figure it out. When you love something so much, and it's true by the way, when you love something so much, you end up figuring it out. And it's in everything in like that. If you really, really love something and you really want to make it happen, you will figure it out. Like another reason, they say, how do you know that they love Eretz Yisrael? First of all, they never claimed for the money of their father. The Gemara Masechet Bechorot says, "She'en lecha kol echad ve'echad miYisrael shelo imo 90 hamorim." Every person in Klal Yisrael, when they got out of Egypt, Mitzrayim, they had 90 donkeys filled with gold and silver. So the question is, how come Benot Tzelofchad are not going after that? You know what the answer is? The answer is because they didn't really care much about the physicality, but they cared about Yisrael, because they understood the most important thing. They understood Yisrael is Yisrael. It's a place where when we have that land, we can fulfill a lot of mitzvot, we can do a lot of things, we can do it. So therefore, you see that they didn't. The claim was on Yisrael. So you see, how come the money? They're not going after the money. The point is they loved the land. And since they loved the land of Yisrael, the ta'ana was about the land. And the third really answer is, how do you know they love the land? Is because if you look, it takes pretty much guts to go to the Gadol Adol like Moshe Rabbeinu. And like it says over here, they went to Moshe Rabbeinu. How do you go to Moshe Rabbeinu? Don't think it was such an easy task to do. If I would tell you, go to the Gadol Adol, go make sure, you know how hard it is just to get into the Gadol, okay. But you might say, but Moshe Rabbeinu, they went and they had the confidence to go. Must be they wanted it so much. And this is really, we have a rule. And davar omed b'fnei haratzon. If you have a ratzon for something, if you have a will for something, and you have a want for something, guess what? You're going to end up making sure that it gets done. Like again, Chazal explained, Ava mekalkelet hatashura. The love that they had for the land was so great that they're able to have claims. They're able to have the strength and the courage to go speak to Moshe and to get it done. And this is, Rabotai, a lesson that we have to bring out in the serving of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A person in life has to figure out how his avodah in avodah Hashem should be. Because I have news for everyone. The news is that in life, everyone has kochot. Everyone has strengths. Everyone has that strength. If it was the Ruchim Levovitz, I believe, he says, woe to the people who don't know what they have to work on. Everybody knows what they have to work on. But even more woe to the people who don't know their strengths to double down on. Why? Because in life, when you know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you a certain amount of kochot, to use it to serve Him, you end up figuring out things beyond levels. And this is Rabotai, a great lesson from Benot Tzelofchad. Now, one more point about the parasha, and that is like this. If you look, Pinchas, what does Pinchas do? He goes ahead and he saves Am Yisrael. right? How does he do it? You look in the beginning of the Parashat last week, people are dying, but immorality. And comes Pinchas, and he saves the day. How does he save the day? It says Pinchas, Heshivit Hamati. He killed, right? He killed. What does he get? What was the reward he gets? He gets this amazing reward. He gets kehuna, he gets B'riti Shalom, he gets longevity. And he saved thousands of Jews, hundreds of thousands of Jews from dying. All right, you do the cheshbon, it was about over 100,000 Jews dying. And it says over here that Lefisha yu hashvatim mevazim oto. They were mevazeh. They were the shevatim were like making bizayon out of him. What? Hiritim et ben puti zeh. You saw this fellow, right? Shepitem avi imo agalim. They're making fun. Oh, avi imo, his father's mother is agalim lavot kochavim. V'arag nasi, this person is going to kill. They're saying about Pinchas, this guy is going to kill a nasi of Shevet Yisrael. It's a wild thing. He did such a great act of saving over 100,000 Jews by getting the wrath of Hashem out. And what are the people doing? The Shevatim mevazim oto. They're Heritem, you see this guy, who does he have who gives him the audacity to do this? Are you kidding me? How could this how could they make fun of him? How could they mevazeh him? So I want to tell you Meir Chatam Sofer. Chatam Sofer says that in general, a person in life has to know that one of the ways a person could lose a mitzvah is what? Is by regretting the mitzvah that he did. He did an amazing maaseh. He did an amazing mitzvah. And then by regretting it, he could lose it. You go look by Avraham Avinu. After Akedat Yitzhak, what happens? He comes and he sees Sarah passes away. And the pasuk where it says crying lifkota, in the Torah there's a small chaf. He was crying. It didn't say too much. What do you mean? They married for so long. Why too much? Because he understood right after the Akedah Yitzhak, he finished it. He fulfilled it. But the Yetzer Hara still wants to make him regret that mitzvah. How does he make him regret that mitzvah? He says, "Listen, I came home. What happened? Sarai Minu has a heart attack. How could I have a heart attack? I can't believe she had a heart attack. What? I can't believe she had a heart attack." And because of that, he said, "Oh, it's because of me, because I didn't." And maybe what's going to happen? He's going to regret doing the Akedah. He says, "I'm not going to cry too much. I don't regret the Akedah Yitzhak. I'm going to cry for Sarah, but I'm not going to cry too much so people don't think that I regret the mitzvah of Akedah Yitzhak." Wow, it's a great thing. Over here, you can say the same thing. Pinchas, he just saved so many Jews. Maybe now, what's happening now? He might maybe regret, or furthermore, maybe he might have ga'ava. Look, I saved so many Jews. And that ga'ava, that arrogance, maybe that arrogance will go ahead. He did something so great in life. Such an amazing thing. And now that arrogance might actually come to his head. Maybe. And look, I saved so many Jews. I did this, I did that. I saved so many Jews. And because of that, it'll take away from that mitzvah. So Hashem had to make it that the people were mevazeh. And therefore, the bizayon, what'd you do? Who do you think you are to kill a shevet? Who do you think you are to kill such a Jew like this? Who are you? What are you? So it had to be like that in order maybe not to have that ga'ava in Pinchas' head. So Hashem, in a way, a person might say, wait, I'm doing such a big mitzvah. How after I do such a big mitzvah and something could go wrong? You have that all the time. How many times do you have a mitzvah? What do you mean? You're doing this, you're doing that, something great. And all of a sudden, I'll never forget, I always say this story over, it's an amazing story, but it's true. I'll never forget, I came back many years ago, I came back from Israel, and there was a family that asked, they asked me a question about one of my friends really. He was saying that he wanted to dip all the dishes, because his parents didn't dip the dishes for the what's it called? They bought all these dishes, and we know the halakha says glass, metal, right? You have to dip the dishes. If you buy from a goy, you have to dip the dishes. So he asked me, he said, could you help me out? I need to dip everything, all the pots and the pans and this. So I said, sure, no problem. I go to his house, and we're putting everything in boxes. We're going to dip it in the keli mikveh. All of a sudden, his mother says, wait. This glass bowl is an extremely expensive glass bowl. I'm begging you, whatever it is, don't dip this one. Just take everything else but this one. And the guy's like, what do you mean? I have to dip it. You have to dip the glass also. Bottom line is, we take the glass bowl, and we're talking about a lot of pots and pans and stuff. And we dip every single one. And we finished on the last stretch, and the last bowl, that glass bowl, right? It was an amazing thing. But he chipped it. The last one, he chipped it. And happens to be his mother, what do you mean? I told you not to take it. It was a whole big thing. But I'm saying, what do you mean? But he's doing such a great mitzvah. He's going to regret the whole mitzvah. You can't regret the mitzvah. But what do you mean? Why did it happen? We don't know why it happened. Even by Pinchas, he did such a great mitzvah, saving so many Jews. What happens right after? The Shevatim, it says, Lefi shayu ha-Shevatim mevazim oto. They were mevazeh him. They were disgracing him. What are you doing? Who do you think you are? You did a great mitzvah, Pinchas, but now they're mevazeh him. So 2 reasons we could say. One is, he shouldn't regret the mitzvah. And 2, the second thing is, that it shouldn't get to his head. Wow, I saved all this thing. And now what was his reward? Because he never regretted it, even though the mavazeh, even though the people were screaming at him, what are you doing, and this, that. What was his reward? Beriti Shalom. What's Beriti Shalom? First of all, you have to understand what? First thing is, he got keuna. Second thing is, he got longevity, he got long life. Third thing is, besides the keuna, I want to read you something, an amazing thing. And that is like this. That is, if you look, Shalom in the Torah, when you look at Beriti Shalom, you'll see the Vav of Shalom is like split, like a Yud, like Shalim. What's the Gematria of Shalim? 300, Shin is 300, Lamed is 30, Yud is 10, Mem is 40, that's 380. What does that represent, this 380? Listen what they bring down, Sfarim HaKadoshim. They bring down, Nirmaz Khan, that from Pinchas, Kadvu Rabotenu, I want to read it to you. The Maridiskin, he says, in Mesechet Zevachim, is brought down, Lo hayu Kohanim Gedolim, Ela me Pinchas. The Kohanim Gedolim came from where? From Pinchas. Ubezifrim afikle. Where do we learn that from? Because it says et beriti shalom. What? You got the shalom. What is that shalom? Shamdu mimenu shmonim kohanim bebayit rishon. How many kohanim gedolim? 80 in the first Beit HaMikdash, and 300 bebayit sheni. Shalosh moed v'shim v'kulam nimnu. Right? How do you see? They're all from the word of shalim. That's why if you look at the Torah, when it says shalom, there's a split of the vav, shlim. There was 380 in the first Beit HaMikdash, Kohen Gadol, and 300 by the second Beit HaMikdash, Kohanim Gedolim. All because even though they went ahead, he did his act, and even though they went and they were Mazem, they disgraced him, he still held strong. He said, if this is the right thing to do, this is what I'm going to do. Hashem says, I'm going to reward you. Such a reward that nobody's going to ever have such a reward like this. 380 Kohanim Gedolim, Shalom. He has the Keuna from that, and he has what? He has a longevity. And therefore, a person has to understand in life, no matter what he's doing in life, always go the right, whatever you're doing, the right, if it's right, no matter, even the first, you look in the Halachot and Shulchan Aruch, the first the halacha, it speaks no matter what happens a person, even if they're mevazehim, even if you're doing what's right, in the eyes of Hashem, this is what Hashem wants you to do, always hold strong. This is what Pinchas is teaching us. He held strong, and guess what? He got all this massive amount of reward. Thank you.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.